What is an Impressionist painting? Well, it's difficult to encapsulate in just a few words, but the Impressionist movement began in France in 1860. This particular painting style focused on naturalistic elements such as plants and nature. The artists in particular took advantage of natural lighting effects to create color contrast and emphasize specific details within their paintings. When paired with large smearing brushstrokes or small flicks and dashes, the colors are able to blend in a way that tricks the mind into perceiving a color that cannot be naturally mixed. With all these ideas coming into effect and pairing with one another, it fulfills the idea of making a painting seem like a fleeting glimpse, as if you were driving past the featured scene in a car. There was a large handful of artists who headed the Impressionist movement. One of the most notable was a man named Claude Monet. His paintings were based on the way he perceived the natural settings around him, which is a golden representation of the impressionistic natural theme and atmosphere. Another notable painter, by the name of Camille Pissarro, who was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands and studied abroad in France, created beautiful and elegant paintings that focus on using light and shadows in the natural world.
Literary Impressionism is conveyed as a style of writing discussing imagery, character views, or allegories discussed in the novel. It renders the sensatory nature of the novel's background and makes the reader see a narrative described. Tableau imagery is a major part of this idea. It is French for living picture, and it is used as background imagery to the main event happening. It adds more context to the main event and is shown through moments in the text describing the scene. There are two main forms of literary impressionism, both using different ways of bringing impressionism into the book, and both bring a different type of feel to the used text. The aesthetic form uses imagery and narration to describe and makes the reader see the narrative described. The technical form uses collection of techniques to lay out an atmosphere and gives a more technical outlook, meaning that the text has specific qualities and specific series of events going on. There are many developers of this style of writing, the first of them being Henry James. Henry James was a severe critic of Impressionism and also an incredible orchestrator of impressionistic ideas. He used many impressionistic ideas in his writing, but also was a heavy critic of the idea. Another main developer was Joseph Conrad. He did not associate himself with the Impressionist movement until his death. After his death, the words of Ford Madox Ford explained how his ideas and writings were very connected with the idea of Impressionism. Ford Madox Ford was another one of these incredibly influential creators of literary Impressionism. He had polarizing ideas inside of his essays and went back and forth with these ideas, making critics rave on about his form of writing. The last of these influential men is Stephen Crane. He was an enormous impressionist and had many critics saying that he relied too much on his impressionism in his writings.
How was literary impressionism present in All Quiet on the Western Front? Well, in All Quiet on the Western Front, Remarque uses many techniques which are closely related to impressionism. To start, All Quiet on the Western Front is told in first person, with the exception of the last two paragraphs. This allows us to see things as it is understood by Paul. This also shows how Paul's perspective on the war and life in general changed throughout the book. This technique conveys Paul's views on life and is used to show all the narratives that Remarque wants us to understand. He tries to impress his ideas on us through Paul's growth. Another technique Remarque uses is that he extends his canvas over a huge setting, and we only see it through the eyes of one man. He is giving us a glimpse of the entire canvas, but the thoughts that Paul has on the canvas alter our own understanding. This is just another way in which Remarque is showing his narrative through Paul. A specific example of this would be the attack in chapter 6, where Remarque says, "The brown earth, torn, blasted earth, with a greasy shine under the sun's rays. The earth is the background of this restless, gloomy world of automatons." Remarque uses nature and the setting to show how gloomy and emotionless this battle is. Everyone is fighting for their own survival. They don't have time to think and feel emotions, only time to try and survive. All of these techniques are just some of the ways that Remarque conveys his own ideas and narratives. They all try to leave an impression on you, the reader, and they all go hand in hand in showing how All Quiet on the Western Front is impressionistic.